We know that DST has been pioneer in inculcating spirit of entrepreneurship in the country. I'm very happy that Dr. Mittal played a very significant role in fast-tracking innovation and entrepreneurship initiative in this country. Most of the other ministries followed, and every ministry has a program now to promote innovation and entrepreneurship and promoting startups. I believe we represent not all, but some of those significant government bodies who are promoting startups. Now, we have to focus on what we can do to take it to next level. We have, earlier growth was very slow and steady, sustained growth. In last 10 years, we are on an exponential growth path. Now, but still, with our experience, we find there are some things that we need to address. And let's try to address some of the issues that I feel have been significant, and then those need to be addressed. We are world's third largest startup ecosystem. Number of unicorns, at the speed at which we are adding to unicorns is significant. And we have nearly 120 unicorns. Our study shows that not even 10% of real startups, they are into formal incubation domain. They are not within the incubators. So what you see within the incubator is the tip of the iceberg, 90% is below. How do you address that? How do you mainstream these entrepreneurs who are not into formal incubation domain? So that's one that I want you to address. Second thing is, yesterday somebody voiced it. If you see the unicorns, not significant number of unicorns have come out of incubators, formal incubators. So there are large number of, majority of unicorns have come up from non-formal incubation support system. How do we again address that issue? And third is, if you see the unicorns, most of the unicorns are either in fintech or they are into e-commerce. How do you make manufacturing startups unicorns? Very quick pointers, no just pinpointed response.
So first thing is, yes, if we talk about startups who are not into incubation centers, I think although for biotech, I do not completely agree with this, because biotech startups need very high-end equipments. Their R&D is resource intensive. They need very high input at the initial level. So I think biotech startups are the ones who leverage incubation system in our country the most. In case you feel that startups are not into the mainstream, I think there might be some things that our incubators lack. Then first, I would say incubators should focus on getting high quality certifications like GLP, GMP, and they should also cater to the specific needs of the startups. If any niche kind of startups are coming to the incubation center, so their demands would be different. So focus on that. Work on that, get the certification, and then maybe attract those startups who are not coming into incubation network. Second, I think the biotech unicorn number is quite less. So I agree with that, but I also believe that because biotech startups, they see the light of the day, they get the results in a very long time. We all know the challenges that a biotech startup faces, And that gestation period, I think, is for the startups who started, let's say, 7-8 years back. So I'm sure the time will come for biotech startups too, and all conducive environment, all support that is required for any startup to reach that state. I think all instrumentation is there now, and so the time for the biotech startup would come for sure.
First thing first, thank you, ISBA, for having me here. Number two, I'm the odd one out, as in from a state government. But then I'm sure this also stresses there are a lot of other states out here. We have Punjab and of course Karnataka, AP, Telangana have always been leaders out there. So all of us trying to push in this. Sir, your third question first, and that is manufacturing. You have yourself answered out there. Manufacturing startups aren't there, and this is the pain point. Now this is where I think obviously the ones with longer gestation, may it be biotech, may it be manufacturing ones, are taking a bit of time, but I'm sure all of us, all state governments, all government agencies are now looking at not only unicorns but the soonicorns and all those identified ones, and are focusing onto that. How are they focusing? Across the value chain. We have Brahmankar sir talking about right from ideation, and similarly, DST Gujarat has also programs right from ideation, spokes out there across universities and so on and so forth. One important point that I want to make is, like BIRAC coming up, DBT coming up with the BioE3, like T-Works, Gujarat is also coming up with something onto small scale manufacturing, small scale biomanufacturing. This is what will help. Number next, regulatory. If we can help, like the first hub of BIRAC, we have similarly our clinic or regulatory clinic. This is what will help. Tech-driven startups, manufacturing startups, they have pachaso cheeze, to push through. Only if we are able to do this, we will be able to reach out to soonicorns and take them to the unicorn ladder. Thank you so much. I'll like to add later on.
I would address the question where why many unicorns are not in our mainstream incubation. So first is, and very quick
Not
points.
unicorn, many startups.
Many startups, yeah.
Not in
the
mainstream.
incubation ecosystem. Very quick points. One is that incubation centers need to have clear-cut bifurcation of 3 types of programs. It's pre-incubation, incubation, and acceleration. And the person who is handling pre-incubation and incubation, he should take pride into it that you are not funding startups. Whoever you meet in the ecosystem, it has become a very glamour thing. Okay, how many of you are fund and I handle funding. We should take pride in incubation. That is second point. So we should have clear-cut 3 programs. The first and second has to work with academia and entrepreneurship educators very clearly. Acceleration, you need not do everything. The second point is you need not do everything together. You have to collaborate with 25 accelerators in the country and do your accelerator program. You should bring everyone together. And third and last point is that we, organization like ISBA and sir, now you, Asian Association, we need to build this as an industry, incubation as industry. Unless we get qualified incubator managers and they take pride in doing all the groundwork, we will not be able to build this multi-layer ecosystem, which will attract everyone. Because if you run accelerator good, you will have existing startup inspiring the lower ones, but at the same time, you will have all those in the mainstream. That's all.
You said we don't get qualified incubator managers. What AICT is doing for it?
Yes, sir. We are launching a capacity building program for incubation managers through our innovation center, sir. Yes, we plan to train around 500 incubation managers.
Are you full-time employee of AICT?
Yes, sir.
Are you full-time employee of AICT?
No, sir. I'm not a full-time employee. So I'm an expert hired from this audience only.
I wanted to ask some other question. Anyway, we'll come back to that. Mukumd, please.
Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. I think we work with a lot of incubators in the seed fund scheme, and I got a chance to put faces to a lot of names that I've been interacting with. On the question on why unicorn or fundraising startups are not primarily associated with incubators, my personal feeling is that I have seen startups that have a longer period of engagement with incubators are primarily research focused. Apart from that, the fast growth sectors, they see it in a very transactional manners. They do not have enough credit on what they can get out of incubation, And as a result, incubators are not known. People who are already having the resources or having fast growth, they are not approaching incubators. They don't know incubators and the facilities that are available in their cities or in their regions. With respect to manufacturing startups, I think we have internally within the Startup India team also been talking a lot about how to bring the manufacturing startups to the forefront. And I think over time what we lack is focused and a long-term approach. Manufacturing always comes with the entire ecosystem. You need suppliers, you need people who can complete the entire value chain instead of just doing simple things. So a lot of government effort is also going into this from an incubation perspective also. We are thinking on what can be done so that manufacturing startups, their initial stage problems can be identified and solved.
Okay, Dr. Arvind.
So your first question was that why only 10?
He represents one of the oldest organization, DST, who promoted startups. Yeah.
So first question was why only about 10% of the startup are incubated in incubators.
About 10%.
About
Don't take me
about
just
10%. So I think this is based on one of the report it was published by the CREST and that.
Yeah,
NRC.
there are several reports.
Yeah, so they highlighted that in India we have the incubator density of 0.8 per million, whereas in the developed country like US, UK, it is 10. So we have to first increase from that you can say finding. The conclusion is that we have to increase the number of incubators. Second is that they said out of 10% of the incubated startup, it is means out of total incubated, only 10% of the incubator are accommodating them, of 90% of the startup. So some of the incubator means more than 90%, about 90% of the incubation center is not performing to the mark in that sense. So they are underutilized. So they have to increase their outreach activity to scout the startup. And whenever I meet some of the CEO of the incubation center, I always say that you go to the startup, not a startup will come to you. So the strategy should change. You have to go. Like whenever we are searching for the cricketer in IPL, we go to the district level and search the player, no? Good player. Similarly, we have to go there. And regarding
Arvind, you have raised very important observation. Do you agree with Arvind?
and
Everybody agrees that incubators are not performing to the mark. Okay, if you agree with that,
only 10%.
very quickly, what is the solution?
Yeah.
If you agree, then answer.
I think, but incubators should enhance their visibility. They should engage with the policy makers. They should be connected with them, and they should also that's my observation, that every incubation center should document the success of their incubation center. They should have that impact booklet ready. This will give a credibility of that incubation center. And when you come to, for example, if you come to Global Bio India, where thousands of startups are coming there to exhibit their product or technology, so you get to exchange your credibility and taking them on board. So that's the power of networking, I think. So yes, enhancement of visibility is required for any incubation center to succeed and to get more and more startups incubated.
It's better said than done. Anand, yeah.
Sir, I do not agree. I do not agree that incubators.
I'm happy to say that you said that.
Yes, sir. I wear two hats. So I also head an incubator, and we need to. I mean, this is Pandora's box, but anyways, are incubators enoughly supported in terms of manpower? Incubators do want to do a lot of things. They want to document. They want to be, reaching out to all corners or whatever, and so on and so forth. But then, and documenting, etc., etc. This is something really, a lot of huge wish list. But then incubators have not been able to do that. If you look at how many programs really support incubators per se, in contrast, you get to see so many number of programs supporting startups per se. So this is another aspect out there.
Yeah.
I too do not agree, sir. But one very important thing about performance. But
Initially,
I agree with the IPL model.
initially everybody said we agree.
No, I agreed to the IPL model actually.
Okay.
Yeah. But one very important thing I think is that host institute, the educational institutions, they should not look at incubators only only as a cherry on the cake, like you're wearing a jacket on your dress. Incubators are looked like that. So I think this kind of conferences should also somewhere invite. This was point of last AGM, Prasad. Okay, I highlighted that, but I did not know that time I will join MOE. So I said that we should write letter ISBA to UGC to host institute should treat incubators and incubator managers little well so that they perform. They are performing, but they are used as something like showcase. आप घर में आने के बाद घर का अच्छा कॉर्नर दिखाते हो ना गेस्ट को, तो वैसे इंक्यूबेटर्स को यूज करना बंद करना. इंक्यूबेटर्स बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं.
Sir, same. I would not say they're not doing a good job, but it's like, in my opinion, there's a potential to do a lot more. And if you look at the top performing incubators of the country versus people who are new or who have not been as active in the industry, there is a huge gap. And incubation professionals. So when we look at an incubator, generally the team, especially in the smaller incubators, changes quite a bit. So there is no long-term project at every incubator level. There is no professional association of incubation professionals. So even this is a place where incubators meet, but as an incubation professional, where do you go in your career? How do you develop? If you have a success story, how is you getting some return out of it? That perspective should also be looked at.
With this
Yeah,
responsibility,
just to clarify that, it is not DST view. It is based on, my comment was based on the report.
everybody's his personal view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is based on the report published by that two centers,
Okay.
which is part of our innovation ecosystem itself. So either we agree to that report or not. It is up to us.
I'm going to justify your statement.
Yeah.
Taranish.
Yeah, just one thing to clarify. I did not comment on the performance of the incubation center. Me being from, BIRAC, supporting incubation center, yes, I'm not judging them that they are not performing with. They are doing a commendable job, and everyone, I think, would agree on that. We have supported close to 100 incubation centers now, and we have also entered tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So my view was just
Are all
on,
incubators doing well? Out of 100?
obviously, there are mature
Very honest
incubation
answer.
centers. I'm
Not
giving
BIRAC answer.
Yes, I'm giving an honest answer here. There are, some already mature incubation centers who started, long back. They have multiple holistic support system from, various government agencies. Then there are emerging incubation centers who are doing commendable job there. And then there are who just have started, So there should be comparison between, similar kind of things, not like who just have started with the ones who already are matured and doing, great jobs there. So yeah.
All your early mature incubators are sustainable?
Okay, so sustainability is another, I think, a very
Yes or no?
detailed question.
Yes or no?
I would say no, of course, on that. Sustainability,
There we come. Okay,
Yeah.
now let's go to the
all right,
graduate.
okay.
Now, DST is saying that we give, I won't say, X amount of money, and within a certain number of years you become financially sustainable. BIRAC says the same thing. DPIT says the same thing. All ministries say the same thing. You have X square foot of space, X amount of money, and certain number of years, maybe 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, whatever, become sustainable. How is that a myth? Or that's a reality? Can you be sustainable?
Ask them, yes, incubation centers, because
You
they
can
are
volunteer
the ones.
in between.
Yeah.
Anand.
So I'll just complicate the problem further and tell you that, see, what are we talking about? We are talking about incubators, most often bootstrapped, most often pre-revenue, most often those ones who are into incubator आए हैं तो इसीलिए because they want to use the laboratory, they want to get their product validated and so on and so forth. अब इनके पास से आप क्या incubation fees में ले लोगे जो अपने आप को sustainable बना लोगे? See, the moment at the same time like from yesterday's discussion, incubators should not become a real estate model. Agreed. Incubators, equity बहुत सारा. Now equity is again notional. जब तक आप liquidate नहीं करते हो आगे, again this is a issue. So given all of this, the point I want to make is sustainability of an incubator in a long term is a question. There has to be, like as it has been noted in minor hints by T. Madhav Rao, and then it talks about Rajashray. So there has to be Rajashray to some amount of innovation in this form, and this is where it needs to be taken up.
So you have. I mean, I believe that's a common response. Do you agree with Anand?
Something more, sir. So I completely agree with Rajashray model.
Agree and more. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
So there is one very important thing, and one thing which Dr. Jagdale will understand, I will say in Marathi, incubators la posla pahiye. Okay, and some of you will understand, but I'll come in English and Hindi.
Need to be nurtured.
Nurtured, and so I presented this to Chancellor of the University when I was heading incubation center. Don't look at us as profit center. Don't look at us as a cost center. Incubation centers are value centers. Correct. We should not look at them as profit center. We should not look at them as a cost center. We are not at all cost center. We should not look at incubator.
Yogesh, it is well said and done. You need money to run it. So it has to be either you have to make profit or somebody has to support.
So universities, if government is not ready to give after 5 crores or 10 crores and all that, fine. Universities are there, or industry bodies. We have Ashishji, we have Anandji here. The industrial incubators are there. They should.
Mukumd,
yeah.
Can incubators be profit centers?
No,
That's
sir.
the only way to sustain, or somebody has to support.
No, sir. So you said sustainability. Sustainability means they have enough funds coming from different sources. Different incubators can have different models for sustainability. If I am an incubator,
Give me a few sources of funding.
Yes. So there are multiple sources from
Just
government.
two sources.
So I know that different ministries fund.
Government fund is always limited.
Yes. So that is where I was getting at.
All of you are from the government. You know that funds are limited. You want to fund, but you can't fund.
30 to 40% incubation should earn somewhere from machines and training programs. 60% should be supported by the host institute. Always throughout life.
Is it really happening somewhere?
It should happen. Yeah.
It should, nahi.
Yeah.
Now there are hundreds of incubators.
Yes.
Give me one model where it is happening.
I don't know models. PhD Tech, I don't know. Yeah. Mahindra, yes.
There are some.
AIC Mahindra
There are some. Very good. I'm very happy to see that.
Very good.
Very happy to see that. Okay, now coming back to this, we want to take least possible equity. That's a general consensus and guidelines by all the ministries. Don't overburden. Now, the thought is coming, don't give debt funding. Take only equity. So there is no stress on the incubator, the startup, which is a good thing. I'm very happy. I will be very happy to write off if necessary, if genuine failure is there. So take least possible equity, exit fast, don't hang on because you want to recover money so that you have money to invest in others. And from the money recovered from the startups, reinvest into other startup companies. Don't make money from that much. Very small amount of money you are allowed to make as an incubator. In this guideline, how do you sustain? Quickly.
So again, we have to create one or two very big startups which will give you money back. Not 20 every year.
You have to exit fast.
Huh?
Exit soon.
Yeah.
By the time they are not big.
So this is not possible, and I am happy that Anita ma'am is also here. Yeah. So that it is not means this not true on field. I have incubated startup which take at least 30 months to get first rupee. 30 months to get first rupee. So that's where we should have focus on some very good startups which might be tech or manufacturing startup where you make 3-4 saal mein you get something and you get 2-3% equity, but his investor will not allow you to come back at least for 5 years. So 2-3 good startups will give at least, like say for example in rupees, 5 to 10 crores which will survive your incubation center for next 5 years. So again, you have to bifurcate the program, sir. You have to have one acceleration program for existing startups. You should be able to attract the revenue generating startups to the incubation center so that they see some value into it and they see something more from you. Again, one point missing is that we are just looking at funding. Incubation center should have very good mentors. And that is something which is missing at the mentoring part. Otherwise, they will not make money. And for that, you should not do it everything. Again, same point I will say. You have to build that overall ecosystem or leverage the national ecosystem also.
So I'll just quickly add to this, and this is where it is important to identify high value, from where will the high value come. And this is where we have tried doing something. We have now a research to rupees program or a tech transfer hub wherein we are trying to look at low hanging fruits. If this inspires some more, and then investors and then angels and so on and so forth. But this is how it can be taken up. So research commercialization cannot be done away saying this is a different ball game and incubation, but number one. Number two, there is a old OM of DSIR 2009 OM which allows educationists, which allows researchers in public organizations while being in public employment, they could be profitably engaged with startups and so on, which is not being practiced. This is something I think forums like ISBA, forums like governments should push this in. Now, only when researchers see some value into it will they support, and then you can imagine
Just
the way
last question. Now, everywhere in the world, you need a proper ecosystem for startups to flourish. Not only incubators, it's a startups only. And for ecosystem means you have industries on board, we have government on board, you have of course the education institutions on board, whether Silicon Valley, Research Triangle Park, Sophia Antipolis, STIC, Shanghai. These are ecosystems, not standalone education institution and incubator within the campus of education institution. We have some experiments in India, rather fairly good to study, but they are not real science parks, I feel, with the IIT Madras, IKP, good initiative. Do you think that this is high time for you to graduate from a standalone TBI on education campus to a research park, science park, catapults or innovation clusters? You represent government. Are there any plans? Very quick.
So Gujarat has come up with a standalone incubator in a biotech park with this logic itself, and it looks forward to integrate all other incubators in the state and in the region possibly to take it forward.
Even Faridabad also, there is an incubation center in the science and tech park. So I think we also see, for Lucknow, there is a science and tech park, but I don't see that only such kind of systems are going to completely give us the results that we are looking to. So there would always be mix and match.
Are industries on board?
For RCB, yes, there are industries coming up. Many even
associated
startups.
Associated with the
That's
startups?
what I'm telling you.
Very good.
Yes, they are coming up there. MOUs are being signed up. Even recently, we had a investor connect over there. So such kind of whole ecosystem are being set up in the in the regions itself. So that's
Biotech needs very different treatment.
it's a complete
altogether.
change. Ball game.
So two things about plans very quickly. So we are launching through AICT also lab to market program. I think many universities and institutes have lakhs of square feet of place. We do not need more infrastructure. Same place we should practice like research to rupee and lab to market, which we are going to not only fund but completely enable through our innovation centers. Yes, so the policy is in place through innovation center. So we have established something.
Are we going to welcome industries on campus of AICT institutions
yes,
on campus?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Very good.
And second, one more point, sir. Next conference means what is missing in the ecosystem, you said. One is that we would like to see 30, 40 accelerators also sitting here in ISBA. So every industry is running accelerator program or their own incubation program. So next is, and that will be great success of this, building this ecosystem. To come very quickly on it, next 2 months we are going to work with around 40 accelerators from MOE's Innovation Cell, bringing them on a platform where the academic incubation system will also directly get access to accelerators through us.
Wonderful. Mukumd?
Sir, along the similar lines, we are also looking at incubator is not the only place where startups can go and get help. And academic incubators is definitely not the only model. We are looking at corporates that can, incubate startups. And
I know you're sitting with corporates. Wonderful. You want to say something?
Under the national ICPS program, as well as the new quantum program, such kind of provision are being evolved.
Yeah.
So later on, we can see a complete ecosystem will be developed.
Wonderful.
At least in these two areas.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I think we had a very vibrant discussion. I really appreciate the panel.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.